The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
Hi there, welcome to Cltv. I'm your host Ken Lammers, and today we're going to do, well, a quick award ceremony and then a lightning round. So ladies and gentlemen, let's start out with the award ceremony. And the contest was over at Simple Justice, and the contest was to see what disruption there was in the force. Now, this was a while back, but since I didn't post a Cltv last week, it has to be done this week. And the prize goes to Mark Drawn over at Windy Pundit, who knew that Norm Pattis, or at least was the one who figured out that that's what Scott over at Simple Justice wanted, that Norm Pattis had closed up shop. And it's poof, gone forever. So, here's your award, Mark, and hope you enjoy it. Next, let's start the lightning round, in which I go through for the last week as many interesting posts as I can, and if y'all are interested in them, you can go look them up yourself. We'll start out with the faculty lounge, where Dan Filler is putting forth the idea that maybe there should be veterans courts for veterans that come back from wars and or come out of the Army, because veterans have different and significant issues. I don't particularly agree with this. I think that being a veteran and possible issues that come out of it should be something considered in regular court, but I don't think we should set a separate court aside for veterans. Anyway, next we have Houston criminal defense lawyer Mark, small name please. Anyway, Mark Bennett, and he's talking about how there's been a kind of a meme about whether or not people, particularly criminal defense attorneys, fear their clients. I never really feared too many of my clients. As a matter of fact, I worried about some, but it wasn't really guys who were threatening me out loud. It was more like guys who were, businessmen, and this was their business, and if I was in the way, okay. Well, next we have Windy Pundit, Mark Drawn himself. This is a second notice for his second mention today, and this time he's talking about, he goes to a decision out of the Virginia courts, and in it, Williams' decision, and talks about how, well, really the fact that the lab only tested 1 of 10 tablets isn't really a statistical thing. It's not a statistical sampling. It's just a common sense thing, because pills that look the same, have the same writing on them, are in the same bottle. We've all been there. We know those are the same type of pills. So if you test one, the other is going to be the same thing. It's kind of, you can't call us lawyers out on that sort of thing, Mark, because we all pretend that we're historians. We all pretend that we are people who can read the minds of legislators. We all pretend that we're statisticians. We all pretend that whatever we are, we all pretend to be whatever we have to be to win our case. So if you keep calling us out on these sort of things, we ain't gonna be able to do our job. Next, we get to Q&O, and McHugh at Q&O talks about how the Sentencing Commission in the United Kingdom is recommending that burglars get community service and curfew rather than actually having to go to jail or anything so terrible as that. It's also saying that victims should have a say in the sentencing, as long as they're not trying to make the sentencing more tough. If they want to make the sentencing more lenient, they should have a say in it. Opinio Juris, Kevin Heller is telling us that he's got a new article, and he's got it up at SSRN, and the title is The Cognitive Psychology of Mens Rea. You're kidding me, right? You're trying to give Scott Greenfield ammunition, aren't you? You're just trying to give him ammunition. Okay, next we get to Kentucky Law Review, and in Kentucky Law Review, he has a thing that points to a prosecutor who's now running to become general district court judge, whose boyfriend or ex-boyfriend is claiming that there was a domestic violence thing. Well, actually, something about her beating on his door a month or two before she started running for judge. Interesting. And then we have In the Moment, David Terrell, and he's telling us about a crime lab chief who had to take a polygraph and got his job back, or started doing his job again after he passed the polygraph, saying that No, I didn't plant the evidence. Next up is APD, where Gideon is talking about the changes or proposed changes to Connecticut's, can't say that. Why do they have that strange C in there? Oh, well, Connecticut's court systems, including things like keeping the same judge on the same case throughout it, which it may not happen somewhere in Virginia, but generally it does. That's the way it's done here. Okay, and then we've got objection, and objection's talking about doing his first, it runs through his first felony trial. It isn't a DUI, and it talks about how in the end it goes from being a felony assault to a misdemeanor assault. Then we got concurring opinions, and Max Minzer is there, and he's talking about a book about burglaries, or actually more about burglars, and it comes up with the groundbreaking information that burglars have drug habits, or usually doing it to feed their drug habit, that they don't break into occupied places, that they know the victims they steal from, and that they do burglaries when they're short on money. To which my general reply is, duh. Okay, now we got simple justice, and again, Scott Grenfield here, and this is he comes out in favor of troopers coming to court to prosecute their own cases on tickets, rather than not coming to court and having the judge prosecute their case, as well as making the final decision. I'm not sure how you do that, because it seemed to me if you don't have the trooper there, you don't have any evidence anyway, but apparently something's going on in New York. Then we have Western Justice, and the science of statement analysis. That's the name of the post. I am skeptical, calling me unpersuaded. Now, not that I don't think that you could tell certain things by the way people say and write things. It's just that, half or more of the statements that I get to read or hear on tape or anything like that are so grammatically bad that they're just hard to read or understand, much less parse. Then we have the agitator, and the agitator is talking about a case where police destroyed $225,000 worth of KNF plants, KNF, whatever, after the plants had tested not positive for THC. But, of course, the courts hold them not responsible for that. KNF plants have a leaf that looks pretty much the same as marijuana, so I'm sure that's what the confusion was. Moving on, at the California Blog of Appeal, Greg May goes to the Ninth Federal Circuit, and the Ninth Federal Circuit, talking about a case from the Ninth Federal Circuit, and the Ninth Federal Circuit, comes down saying that you can't strip a 13-year-old girl because you think she might have brought ibuprofen to school, maybe, perhaps. Then we have Dvorak Uncensored, and this one's a video about Chilean authorities who have cracked down on a pole dancer. Why, you say? Well, because she was pole dancing in the middle of subway cars while they were, during rush hours. Now we have another Western Justice, and in this one, he's talking about, doing away with plea bargaining. He proposes doing away with plea bargaining at all, and then he proposes having a bargain where you bargain for the sentence, but not what the charge is. And I need explanation. There's got to be more than that. Just that. You got to fill out an idea like that. Now we have sentencing law and policy. Douglas Berman, who is talking about a nun who was sent to prison for 3 to 5 years for embezzling a lot of money from the church. Okay, fine. Now, I personally am a person that believes that you should have, sentencing should be, equal for equal people. Now, this is an older nun. She's in her 70s or something like that, but still it should be the same for across the board pretty much. Now, the problem, though, is the court's reasoning is pretty lousy. The court's reasoning is that probation would have promoted disrespect for the law. Because, there are just these legions of nuns out there just waiting to unleash that crime spree if one judge should show a little bit of weakness. And now we have On Point, and On Point by Matthew Heller is talking about a jail inmate who has gone from 413 pounds to 308 pounds while he's in jail, but has dropped his lawsuit, in which he was trying to force the jail to pay him or to feed him more food, perhaps because he's trying to get moved from jail to prison where he thinks he can get more food. And then there's Sterling on Justice and Drugs, written by, well, Eric Sterling. And among other things, he's talking about a report which says there are more deaths from legal drugs than other traditional illegal drugs. Now, Mr. Sterling says, this sounds like a public health problem to him, but, to be honest with you, he's wrong. I mean, it's just that the emphasis, at least among certain classes, has shifted. And, let's face it, pills are easier to get. They're cheaper, they're easier to get, and, you can get them from grandma or grandpa's, pill cabinet. You can get them from mom and dad where they have some left over from when they had that surgery last year. You can order them online. They're just easier to get a hold of and easier to abuse and easier to mix with other things like, traditionally illegal drugs or alcohol, which can lead to a combination overdose death. So they are the problem of the future. Well, actually, according to this article, the problem of the present. Then we get WWDN in Exile, which is by Will Wheaton, best known for playing Wesley on the newer Star Trek, one of the newer Star Treks. And he gives us his opinion of where the Fourth Amendment lies. Then we go back to Wendy Pundit. Third time Mark gets noticed today, and this time he's reviewing a video about how easy it is for police to find your marijuana when you go out in the field, and instructions about how to grow it in your house without getting caught. And then he shows us a video from the guy, or a portion of the video, which tells you exactly how to get your front door kicked in. Pretty sure, because I expect afterwards it would be something along the lines of, I didn't hear him say if I had a warrant. He just said kick the door, and he held his hands up like somebody had a gun to him or something. So I kicked the door, and it was all an accident. I just see a lot of kicked in doors, folks. And finally, we're going to go with Grits for Breakfast, and it's a story about how in Texas, despite the fact that places want to privatize their jails, they haven't been able to because they can't get bids, because apparently it is much more profitable to bid on the federal contracts to keep illegal immigrants until they're shipped back than it is to bid on the state contracts for actual prisoners. That's it for today, folks. I'm going to close up with something from Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. It is only an America thing, right? You've got a band from San Francisco, which is, I don't know what they're calling them now, punk, acid, ska. I never really knew what ska was. They're all pretty much the same thing, just changed names over the years so that the new kids will feel that they're hip, or whatever the term is for that nowadays. I think maybe we should call it punkabilly, because this group is singing Country Roads, and I leave you to it.
Life is old, they're older than the trees. take me